Do you consider yourself Jewish?
Yes, ethnically Jewish for sure. I'm not a practicing Jew, but I definitely consider myself ethnically Jewish. As I mentioned to you before you started filming, all my life I've had this disease called Crohn's disease, which is a localized inflammation of a portion of the intestine. And it wasn't diagnosed till my last year in graduate school, 1971, but all the x-rays and tests indicated I'd had it all my life, which, kind of made sense to me because when I was young, I could never gain weight. I always had stomach aches, always had diarrhea, but the family doctor, I think in retrospect, he must have been a quack. He never even ordered any tests. He just, I know what was going through his mind. Nervous Jewish kid, because he gave me phenobarbital, which didn't help Crohn's disease at all. Anyhow, it was undiagnosed, so no one knew what the problem was, but the whole family knew I couldn't gain weight. So my grandfather, very religious, observant Jew, got it in his head, well, bacon is very fattening, which is true, but religious Jew, it's not kosher. So what did he do? He installed in the house a separate gas line, not connected to the house gas line, just to a little burner in the basement. And then he had a frying pan down there that never left the basement, never went up into the kitchen, and he would cook me bacon without contaminating the rest of the house. Oh. Jews are very pragmatic. Yeah. They have all these very strict rules, but, if you need to violate them to protect your health or life, you're allowed to. But like a lot of Orthodox Jews at the time, pretty observant about the laws of kashrut, about keeping kosher. So typically, a middle-class family would have at least 4 sets of dishes. 2 for milk products, 2 for meat products, because you weren't allowed to eat milk and meat stuff at the same time. And then Passover, special holiday where you needed special dishes and special food just for Passover. So at least milchik and fleishik dishes, and all silverware too for Passover. So at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of dishes. Wow. And then usually more, because that's just for everyday use. Then for fancy events, that's another set of dishes. So 8 was pretty standard for middle-class and upper-middle-class Jewish families who were Orthodox. All 4 of my grandparents came to this country from parts of Russia and the Ukraine. And both my parents were born in this country, and, they would be somewhat less observant, and then their kids somewhat less observant still was the usual progression, at least at the time. My father's father, who I never met, had an interesting story. He had been an opera singer in Russia.
Is that right?
And he moved to the U.S., and, to escape the pogroms, I assume. And he tried out for the Metropolitan Opera, and he succeeded, and they offered him a job. But at the time, being an opera singer, not a huge star, just being in the chorus of a big opera company like the Metropolitan Opera, was something for gentlemen. It wasn't a living wage. It was sort of a hobby, and he had to support his family, so he couldn't accept the job. So he was a subway conductor, and the family story has it, he would spend all day being a subway conductor and singing opera on the subway. The family story is everyone called him Singing Sam. His name wasn't Sam, but they called him Singing Sam, I guess because of the alliteration.